And welcome back here to San Antonio at the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention here at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in downtown San Antonio. As we continue our coverage here, we are now joined by Ricky Stade, the head coach of the San Antonio Taft Raiders, who have now gone from the underdog to one of the favorites in 1 year. Well, it's kind of been a building process, Ricky. I know that.
Don't tell anybody.
when you took over the program, it wasn't necessarily at a high point, and you've kind of built it back up. And last year, not only did you make the playoffs, you made it to the third round of the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
And with a team that was relatively young, you got a lot of those guys back. So the pressure's on now, right?
Nah, it's every year is different, and yes, last year was definitely a special one for us. It was a culmination of a lot of hard work, dedication. I heard a guy yesterday talking about a village, and that's what it takes with the administration, the community, the booster club, the kids, the coaches, the whole group together is responsible for that success.
Right.
And if everybody's not pulling in the same direction, on the same goal, it's not going to happen. And it was really awesome to see the hard work pay off, because there's no guarantees. There's no hard work, oh, you're going to succeed. It's you give yourself a chance to succeed. And so having that success was awesome. And the biggest thing now is how do you build on that? How do you maintain it? And that's what we talk about on a daily basis. Things like this. When I took this job 3 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here with guys like you, and now here we are. And then it's everybody's together. And with that common goal is what's got us here. And fortunately, I'm just lucky enough to be able to talk about it and be the face, if you will, and really get out there for our community.
Obviously Brandeis and Clark moved over and are playing with the Northeast schools, so they're not a district opponent yet. But I look at that Northside ISD, and for many years it was Brandeis, O'Connor, Brennan, and then everybody else.
Yep.
And those three were just so dominant. And last year may have been the most parity that I've ever seen in that. And, of course, Brandeis is in another district. But the rest of them, I mean, there was a lot of parity. And is it a combination of the top teams coming down and the teams that were towards the bottom coming up? Or do you think everybody just came up?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
I'll let other people talk about that. All I know is the district's changed a lot since in the short time I've been in it, since 2016 when I got to O'Connor. You're right, there was a top four, and everybody was trying to break into that.
Right.
And now it's a lot more wide open. There's a lot of talent spread out throughout the district, and like I tell everybody's got a running back. Everybody's got a quarterback. Everybody's got a receiver. Everybody's got this. Everybody's got that. Like, there's nobody that when you step out there that you just know, oh, yeah, we got this.
Right.
Every week that competition has picked up and it's been created, and it makes for an exciting, very competitive district. And that's why, when you look at, Dave Campbell's magazine, for example, it has us pick second. And a team like O'Connor picked sixth. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
Times have changed, and
that's
you don't necessarily
bulletin board material for somebody else. But
I'm sure Coach Molesky will figure out a way to use that.
No doubt. No doubt. But at the same time, things like that are pretty exciting. And we don't shy away from that. We talk about that in our program, but we also talk about the hard work it took to get there, and the harder work it's going to take to stay there. And you kind of go from the hunter to the hunted, and that's an exciting thing. But there's a different kind of pressure now, and those kids, they're very resilient. They're very this, they're very that, and they can handle it, and they'll be okay. Because number one, we talk about it. We don't ignore it, because I think that's the worst thing you can do is ignore it. These kids get on social media, they see all this hype, and they start putting all this stuff out there, and you got to be careful with that. And I tell them that all the time. Don't eat the cheese.
Right. You got to go out and prove it every time.
Oh, every time. It starts this morning. We had camp this morning. Starts with that. And it doesn't matter if all the coaches are leaving to go to coaching school later on or whatever. We got to put the work in. We can't take days off, So that's our mentality, and what's why I've been able to feel comfortable about this year and the extra attention.
Well, if there was a favorite, you had a relatively young team. Another one that was really young but super good and talented was Brennan. Are they the team to beat this year in your district, you feel?
I think they're ranked where they are. They're projected where they are for a reason. They were very young, very talented, and they are year in and year out. They're one of the top dogs in the district, and they have been. And we're obviously trying to be one of those type of teams as well. And so yeah, if you had to pick a favorite, sure.
Yeah. Do you expect the same similar level of parity this year in your district?
I don't see it falling off. I don't see anybody just out there that's going to separate themselves to the point where there's this school and then everybody else. I think that we all know each other pretty well. Our kids know each other pretty well. So obviously that picks up the level of competition, and no kid, no coach is going to bow down from anybody or to anybody. So I think that competition and that what people call parity will continue, just because I think the talent is spread, and I think it's pretty even across the board.
Last year, obviously, was very different than any other year. Are you amazed that your district played the entire district schedule without any?
Very. If you'd have told me
breakups,
that,
any stoppages.
I'm not much of a gambler, but if
Yeah.
we'd have had to put money on it in August, I'd have lost a lot of money, because there's no way I saw that thing rolling out the way it did and continue to week by week. And when you're living in it and you're in the middle of it, it was almost every week you're waiting on this test to come back, that test to come back, and we were so close so many times to having to pull the plug
Right.
or having to cancel. It's like, how can this continue? But each week, we got back up on that wire, and it's like a high wire act every week. And I know a couple of teams got hit here and there, but for the most part the district was able to get through the schedule, and it's a pretty remarkable thing. It says a lot about the district as itself, the administration, the kids, the parents, everybody coming together once again and trying to find a way. And because at the end of the day, there's risk involved in everything, but the reward, the experience of playing high school football, being a part of something, everybody I think recognized that and worked really hard to preserve that and keep pushing forward and keep moving things forward and get through that difficult time.
And after all that, it was, you guys got to continue on. You had an opponent that had to forfeit a game because of the COVID situation, a playoff opponent. And then it happened of all the irony and the sadness of it all was that Harlan qualified for the playoffs, and then they didn't get to play. Have you spoke to Coach Salas about that? I mean,
Yes, sir.
I just feel for those guys. I mean,
it's tough to get all the way to that point,
especially how tough the battle was just to get in.
Well, it came down to the last week,
and
there was teams that were fighting for playoff spots to the very end, and they were fortunate to make it, and then to have it pulled like that it's disappointing. It's disappointing for the district, for the school. When it comes to Northside, we try to ride for the brand. Obviously, we're all competitors, but we want to see each other go far, and represent well, which we know they would have if they would have gotten in.
No doubt. The other three, your team included, went 3 rounds deep, and there's no reason to believe that Harlan wouldn't have either.
No, I think it would have been a pretty special week with 4 Northside teams playing in the 3rd round. So, hopefully we can get back to that, get to that point, and have 4 teams in Northside take it to the next level again.
What do you learn here at coaching school? It's a yearly event, except for last year, which was just strange.
Yes.
Did you attend coaching?
Virtual
coaching school virtually last year?
Yes, it was very different, and it's just not the same. The face-to-face, just like we preach to the kids, and going in-person school, same thing for us here. It's no different, and for guys like me that have been around the state a little bit as far as coaching in different areas, this is the one time a year I get to see guys that I haven't seen, that I only get to see one time a year,
Right.
and there's fellowship and the networking, and then I will say this: THSCA has done a great job of improving the lineup of speakers, the content. They've broadened it out to where every sport's represented, male, female, you name it, and it's getting bigger, and it's becoming better, more importantly, and it's really a great learning opportunity for young and old coaches. I consider myself an old coach at this point, being 17 in, and
17 years in. Okay.
yeah, I think the hair didn't give it away. So even for me yesterday, just going to the listening at the head coaches academy and just being a part of that, and some of the other ones is you can never stop learning in this business, and THSCA does a great job putting this convention on and giving us a chance to continue to learn.
Well, this is 26 years for me coming up on our broadcasting side in San Antonio, and so I've seen this entire thing evolve. From Eddie Joseph to D.W. Rutledge to Coach Martin now, and what are the changes you see that have been positive with the Coaches Association over this course of time?
I think here recently, you can basically every day you look down at the list of speakers and topics, and like I said, it's male, it's female, and the point of one of the things the THSCA has been really trying to push is it's bringing everybody together. It's not, I think for the longest it was seen as a football coaches convention,
right,
if you will, and they've really made a point to expand it and grow everybody and try to bring everybody in to be a part of the THSCA, which is such a great organization that does so much for high school athletics and the kids in the state that, I think it's been very beneficial and the change has been good.
Yeah, you're right. It's there's so many different smaller associations, but those are important too. But
of course,
this is kind of the granddaddy and the big one
that's right,
that everyone really needs to be a part of. From the girls coaches to the boys coaches in all sports.
Yes, sir.
This is something that I think that unites the entire coaching community.
Most definitely, I think it's been a well-needed change, and it's good to be a part of it. So.
Well, and I believe this, and you've been coaching for a while. So is it true that I believe it is? I mean, maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but a coach, there's a thing about being a coach that if you're good at it, if you're good at relating to your players, to your staff, and you put players and coaches in the right position to be successful, that's the most important piece in coaching. And so if you're a good coach, you can take just about any sport and apply that, whether your knowledge is in football or basketball or baseball or volleyball or whatever the sport, the same rules apply.
Certain characteristics that apply to success no matter what the industry, whether it's athletics, business, you name it. I mean, there's a certain set of characteristics that are non-negotiables, and if you do those things well, you can be successful in whatever endeavor it is. And those are the things that we try to harp on with our kids. And for us, we talk about the relentless attitude and the mindset and what that means exactly. And it's just a way of going about your business on a daily basis, whether it's in the classroom, on the fields, or on the courts of play. And those are the characteristics they're going to carry over once they leave us. And obviously that's the biggest point is once they leave us, do they have the tools necessary to succeed in life? And that's what we're trying to give them. And I think regardless of sport or industry, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, this year, I hate to use that word normal, new normal. Those are the things that drive me crazy thinking about. But last year was obviously different. But, football is one thing. Education is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it that we get our kids back in the classroom? Because and how much did they lose by not being a part of that?
It's immeasurable.
Yeah.
The impact. You look at. There's all these, studies out there, reports on mental health issues that kids are going through these days related to just being at home and being isolated. And I just can't stress enough how important it is to get back into the classroom, get back into school, get back into into the world, if you will. And without that, I mean, I think it's just last year was so tough on so many kids and adults. And, it's really important that everybody comes back as safe as possible and move past all this.
I think this is our greatest hope that this happens because we got a lot of catching up to do, don't we?
Yes, there's going to be a lot of reteaching.
Yeah.
We still have kids that we haven't seen since last football season. A lot of the younger kids especially, those are the ones that I worry about. A, are they coming back, and B, what are they coming back looking like, feeling like, being like? They've lost a whole year of growth and development. Some of them have, and there's going to be a lot of patience early on. From a classroom to the sports to you name it, of just trying to get kids back into the swing of things.
Well, we got a legendary Northside coach, former Northside coach, following you. Coach Danny Padron will be up next from. And
following Soto and now him following me. I'm the small.
Well, you're sandwiched between
a
legend in his own mind. No, I'm kidding, Mark. Mark is actually a really good coach.
Yes, he is.
He's one of the. I say he's a younger coach because he's younger than me, but he's not really young anymore. But I think about those. I've grown up, I've gotten older, and so has everybody. But Danny Padron, I mean, you talk about a guy that's been in the business a long time. I'm looking forward to seeing him, and he's a Northside legend.
He is. He's a San Antonio Northside legend for sure. I heard about him when I first got here. Got a chance to meet him when I was at O'Connor, and he's done a lot of great things for the district and the area for sure.
Well, Ricky, you are following that great heritage of Northside coaches, and
trying.
Maybe in 25 years we'll be talking about you the same way we did.
Wow.
Ricky Stade, he's a legend.
Let's get through 2021 first before we worry about that.
You want to be a legend in 25 years?
Sure, why not? Who doesn't?
Ricky, good to see you.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Appreciate what you guys do, man. It's really awesome for the sport, for the kids.
All right, you can catch the Taft Raiders all season long on TexasSportsProductions.com, big game coverage, and KSAT.com. We'll continue with more from the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention in San Antonio in just a moment here on TexasSportsProductions.com.